Welcome back, hacker. Let's dive right into it. This is a video on how to answer the challenge of margins and paddings. Let's jump into it. So we had the challenge, which was create a page with a header, footer, and main tag and set all sorts of stuff on it, which is a longer challenge, which is awesome that you're able to even do this. You should just take a step back, look at everything that you've done and see, wow, you've come a long way in a short amount of time, and let's keep moving forward with it. So here, let's get into the code. I have a new code pen set up here for the answer. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a page with a header, main, and footer tag. So that's what I'm going to do first, actually. I'm going to create a header section and a main section. And then a footer section. And at this time, still write it out. When you're starting out, write it out. We'll eventually get into this thing called Emmet. I'm just going to tease that. It's a really cool tool that we use to speed up our development process. But when we're starting out, write it out, right? So here we go. We have a header, we have a main, and we have a footer. We have the starts of all of these and the Matt Damon jumping in front of car stop. So let's get into this. So the first thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and work on some CSS and set the margins to 0 and the paddings to 0. This is a star hack. I'm going to hit star and I'm going to do the mustache brackets. So that selects every element on the page and it's going to reset all this items. Again, we're going to go into it later on how to use a different version of this, but this is a down and dirty way to reset everything. And what are we going to reset? We're going to reset the margins and the paddings. So just as a review, margin is the space around elements and padding is the space between the edge and the content. And the way it works is that you go around the box. You go from the top, right, bottom, left, clockwise around the box, right? So that's what we're going to be practicing in this. First thing we're going to do is for the header, set the background color to one of your choice. I am a Dodger fan. If you don't like the Dodgers and you're a San Francisco fan, I guess we can still maybe be friends, but let's get into this. So background, I'm going to say Dodger blue. I'm going to be using a lot of Dodger blue on this one. So now we have here, nothing is set. Well, what's going on? Well, what is going on is we actually don't have any content in here. So if I put in a width of 100 pixels and a height of, let's say, 50 pixels, it's going to start to show this here. But we don't want that. That's something that we'll go into a little bit later. It's a little tease. But let's go ahead and let's set in here. We are going to create our H1 tag so we can actually see something show up here. So I'm going to create an H1 tag and then it's going to say hello because that's what the prompt says to do. And we see, boom, there we go. We have hello with our blue background. Awesome. I'm going to set the color of my choice for this header, this H1. So I'm going to say header H1 and then color white. I can do it this way, or I can actually remove this and go like that. Both ways are appropriate and they work. Beautiful. Now what we're going to do is we are going to set some paddings for these items. So I'm going to first start off on this header. I know I'm jumping back and forth, and that's okay. That's the way code works. So I'm going to jump into this. I'm going to go into the padding. So I'm going to go to padding 20, or sorry, padding 40 on the top and the bottom, and then the left and right set to 20. So again, let me annotate this screen very quickly. So I have here, oops, wrong button. I have here a box. The way it works is when I do shorthand, I'm going to go top, right, bottom, left. The way it works is if I set the top and I don't set the bottom, so I set the first value, and I don't set the bottom value, the browser is going to try to duplicate this over. If I set the second value, which is the right, and I don't set the fourth value, which is left, the browser is going to assume that I'm copying this item over here. So let's start with this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the paddings. So the padding for the top was going to be what? Padding top and bottom of 40. So let's say padding of 40 pixels here. Now you'll see, boom, I have all sorts of padding around this, some spacing, some beautiful spacing. But I don't want to have top, notice that it's 40 on top, 40 on bottom, 40 on left, 40 on right. I don't want that. I want the left and the right to be 20. So again, I'm going to set my right, which is over here. And because there isn't a left, it's going to automatically assume that I want it to be the same. So now I have a padding of top 40 bottom 40, right 20, left 20. Again, around the box, around the horn. Now let's keep going further down. Down below, I have set a margin bottom to 50. Okay, so I'm going to say margin bottom. Or I can say margin 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 50 pixels. Actually, that's wrong. I'm going to say 50 pixels, 0 pixels. Because we have margin top, right, bottom, left. I can't see this though because I don't have anything underneath it yet, right? So this is going to be kind of hard to see. Now, I told you to get used to using this shorthand, which you definitely should. In this instance here, this might be an instance where it's actually better or easier to just go like this, to just go margin bottom 50 pixels. In this case, that is an okay answer because it's less code, right? But that being said, if I wanted to change items later on, then it might be better to already have the shorthand there. Both answers are acceptable. I will use this way first because, again, I want you to really ingrain in your head that box. Top, right, bottom, left. Top, right, bottom 50, left 0. Okay. Now we're going to keep moving on down. We have here color of our choice, which we already have set, and then I want to margin left on this one to 75 pixels. So again, I can do margin left. And honestly, this would probably be the best answer, most accurate answer for this example here. But again, I want you to practice this top right, bottom left. So I have top 0, right 0, bottom 0, left 75 pixels. There you go, same answer. They look exactly the same. That's perfect. Now let's go into the next one. So we have main tag, set a margin of 100 and a padding of 10 pixels. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to say main. First things first is I can't see anything in here yet because I don't have any content. So what am I going to put in there? I'm going to put 2 paragraphs. So let's quickly create 2 paragraphs. Test. Oops. Test. It is autofilling with some weird thing there, but let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we don't have any spacing between them because again, this star hack above, we removed that spacing, which is great. Now let's keep going down. So I have set a margin of 100 and set a padding of 10 pixels and set a background color of my choice. All right, so let's set a background color. So background, and we'll do something like gold. There you go. Now I'm going to set a padding of 10 pixels, padding 10 pixels, and a margin of 100 pixels. Boom, there we go. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's see what's going on. So if I remove the margin, notice here that I have some space. I have some space between these two elements here. Where is that space coming from? Well, that space is coming from the margin that I set on. Let me close this out. I set the margin here, this 75. So that 75 invisible pixel that I had before is now actually adding that space here, right? Now, when I add a margin of 100 onto this element, the main tag right here, this section right here with all of this gold, if I set that to have 100 pixels of margin, what's going to happen is it's going to actually provide us with first that 75 from the element of above, and then we have 100 pixels. So the space between the header and the top of the main is going to be 175 pixels because this one had 20 on the bottom and then this one has 100 all the way around. So to view this, that's what's going on. I have a margin of 100 pixels. Now this is very important for us to be able to understand this concept, that there is actually an imaginary line right here. Oops, that's a squiggly line. Let's use this arrow then, because apparently I can't draw it. There's an imaginary line where we have 75 pixels here, and then we're adding on another 100. We need to know this concept so that way when we are debugging our design, we know, okay, first thing I need to do is I need to check the element that let's say the spacing's off. The first thing I need to do is I need to check the element that I'm working on. Okay, I want it to be 0 pixels, so I remove that. Uh-oh, there's still some space here. What the heck's going on? Well, I'm in a panic. I don't see any code. I don't see any margins. It's set to 0. Oh my gosh. Calm down. Look at the element above it. What's the element above it? The header. Oh. Let's see, there's 50 pixels there. Let's remove that. There you go. This whole time I'm talking about 75 and I was looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at the H1. My, oh my. All right, so then let's go ahead and add that 100 pixels back. So here, what we're gonna do is we are now going to be setting a margin of 0 and a padding top of 25 pixels to the paragraph. So let's see what's going on here. I'm gonna have main and then paragraph because I only want to target the paragraphs that are in this main. And I'm going to set a margin top of 0. I believe, which it should already be set. Is it a margin for everything? Margins to 0, which is already set because I have this in the star hack. So I don't actually need this. So if I did margin 0, I don't actually need this because up above I have this star hack that's selecting everything. So you'll notice that there isn't a change. So then I will do padding top of 25 pixels. There you go. This case I used the shorthand, but if I wanted to use the longhand for practice, I would do 25 pixels, 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 0 pixels. So what that is doing is it's adding some space on the tops of these elements. So it's adding space right here and right here between these two. All right, let's continue moving forward with this. We're almost done. For the footer, we are going to we're going to create an H2 tag inside the footer, and we're going to play with some more margins. So I'm going to come in here. I am going to create this footer. Inside my footer, the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I have an H2 tag in it. Coding is easy. All right, so we're going to set a background color of my choice. I'm going to just recycle that Dodger blue. There you go. And then I'm going to set my text color to white. I'm just going to apply it to the whole div right there, or the whole section, the whole footer, rather than typing it out individually into the H2 tag. Let's play with some margins. So I have a margin top of 0, right on 10. So 10, bottom is 50. All right, so let's do this. So we're going to say margin 0 pixels. Then I think I have right is 10 pixels. Bottom is 50 pixels. And 100 pixels for the left. Yep, right is 10, left is 100. Bottom is 50. The reason why I put it in that order is because, again, you need to memorize top, right, bottom, left. It's a little curveball. I didn't give it, I switched these two. Little curveball. But I know that you could handle that, and I know that you did handle that. All right, so then we're going to set the paddings to 0, then the margin top and bottom to 0. So the first two, because again, we have this star hack here, we don't actually have to do, which is awesome. So we can say here, we can say footer H2, because I only wanted to apply this to the H2 here. The reason why I want to do that there is because if I have an H2 up above, I'm probably going to want to have different stylings. So I'm being a bit more specific with what I'm selecting. So first I'm selecting my footer, and then inside of that I'm selecting the H2. This is the same thing, just like our nesting, right? So okay, so here we're going to go. To finish this off, we're going to set the padding left and right to 10 pixels. So I'm going to use this shorthand again. Padding 0 pixels for the top for everything, or I can just say 0, and then the top and the left and the right. So I'm going to do right pixels 10, and then I'm not going to set anything else. And again, what is happening here is that I have the top, right, bottom, left. Now you'll notice what something strange is going on here. It's because these H2s are actually trying to span everything over. So don't worry if you get something that's lined up here. This is because this H2 is trying to go 100%. So let me trying to figure out the best way to explain this. The way that this is working is that based on the certain type of element we've created, which is a block, display block is trying to go 100% across. So if I set this width, let's say 200 pixels, it's going to be a jerk about it. Okay, so basically what it's doing though is it's trying to expand all the way across to the right, and it's adding more onto it, so it's clipping off here. So it's pushing forward, and then it's minusing, and it's just all sorts of funkiness. But that's okay. Actually, let me see. Did I mess up any code up here? Margin. Nope. And we're good. All right, so that's our answer. I know it's kind of a funky one, but what we're really doing is we're really focusing on the different elements. We're focusing on this idea of top, right, bottom, left. So keep moving forward. Coding is not that hard. It's easy, actually. You got this, and I will see you in the next lesson.